So I've heard this a lot from customers. My applications or my data is more secure in my own data center than it could be in the cloud, because there I've got all the control, right? Well, I'm Dean Bryan, Principal Cloud Advocate here at Microsoft, and today I'm here to bust that myth and show you 3 main reasons why I think you can be more secure in the cloud than you can in your own data center. So let's dive in. Managing your assets in the cloud becomes more of a shared responsibility between you, the customer, and us, the cloud provider. So by all means, I'm not saying that you can forget about security altogether when you move into the cloud, but you can relax a little bit and hopefully you'll be able to share that responsibility with us, the cloud provider, to lighten the load a little. If we look at the shared responsibility model here, just by moving to the cloud and leveraging infrastructure as a service, you're already lightening your load. You're no longer responsible for physical security of your data center, virtual machine operating systems. All of that is taken care of by us, the cloud provider. And the further right that you move along this chart to platform as a service and ultimately software as a service, you can see that there's less responsibility on you and more responsibility on us as the cloud provider to manage that environment. So there are still bits that you're responsible for, but we're taking care of some of that for you. Whereas if you were running in your own data center, you can see here that you're responsible for the whole stack. You're not sharing that responsibility with anyone. So in the cloud, it's a lot easier because you can share that responsibility with us. If you start leveraging higher level services such as Azure App Service or serverless, you can really start to get these benefits, as you just saw. Let's take this image from the National Cybersecurity Center as an example. Here they did some analysis of people using servers, so those not using serverless or platform services. And they were looking at the security of serverless applications. So people using servers here, they found that only 7% had actually patched or updated their systems in the last 30 days. And a whopping 39% were leveraging software that was no longer supported by the vendor. So massive security issue there. If you leverage something like serverless or Azure App Service, the cloud provider would take care of a lot of this patching and operational overhead for you, so you'd inherently be more secure. If you look at major attacks like WannaCry, this leveraged out-of-date software which was no longer supported by vendors. If you look at security attacks like Spectre or Meltdown, cloud providers were already updated, especially when using platform level services, so you didn't even lose 1 wink of sleep at night or even a second of downtime if using serverless or app service. If you were using virtual machines in the public cloud, you literally just required a reboot, so minimal outage there as well. Those of you running your operations in your own data centers, however, were running around trying to play catch up with the bad guys whilst they got the patch released and were reverse engineering that to try and hack into your machines. So if you're leveraging the cloud, you're inherently more secure than you would be in your own data center because we're taking care of some of those major outbreaks for you by leveraging those parts of the stack. The second thing I want to talk about is zero effort security insights. By doing absolutely nothing, you can get great insights into your security posture. If you leverage services such as Azure Security Center, for absolutely nothing, you'll get a continuous security assessment and a recommendations and security score of your Azure cloud environment for absolutely nothing. If you pay for the standard tier, you get some more advanced features such as threat modeling and just-in-time access to your virtual machines. We can quickly have a look at how that works. So here I am in my Azure subscription, and I'm looking at Azure Security Center. This is my one-stop shop to get an insight into what the security posture is of my cloud environment. So here at the top, you can see the security score. I currently have a score of 656 out of 1240. So there's definitely some work that I can do here. If I click into that score, I can start to see which areas of my environment are the least secure or have got the most opportunity for improvement. Clicking into any of these, such as compute, will give me a bunch of recommendations on what I can do to fix my security posture. Now what's really neat about this is that if we scroll down, you'll see that some of these have this one-click fix button. So this literally means that within one click I can fix and remediate that security issue in my account. All of this comes to absolutely nothing and by default, hence why I call it zero effort security insights. Now, even if it isn't exactly zero effort, you can enable and configure a whole bunch of security services and features within just a few clicks in the portal or a simple API call. For example, within just a few clicks, you can enable a web application firewall in front of your application and instantly protect it from the OWASP top 10 threats, or create custom rules. Enable logging and you've instantly got those logs exported into either your own SIEM or even our cloud-native SIEM, Azure Sentinel. It's all super simple to set up. Want to make sure your object storage is encrypted? Just simply tick a box. It's a lot easier than doing this on premises. Trust me, I've implemented firewalls, IDSs, and a bunch of security controls on premises in data centers, and it's not this trivial. So within a few minutes, leveraging these services, we can get even more security advancements within our cloud environment than on premise. Next, I want to talk about out-of-the-box governance. I think this is really important and is often overlooked when we talk about security. We see security and governance sometimes as two quite different things. But when we're doing security incident response, having governance and access to who has done what and when in our accounts is really, really important. If someone changed a rule on your firewall in your data center, would you be able to tell me exactly who did it and when? Could you say exactly the same for every single component or piece of infrastructure within your data center? If you could, I'm impressed. And if you can, how much effort and cost did it take for you to implement that kind of functionality? Well, in the cloud, you can do this seamlessly, again, with no effort, completely out of the box. With the Azure Activity Log, you can have control of who does what in your account. You can access right there in the Azure portal who did something, when they did it, what action they took. And then if you really want to dive into it, you can see for existing resources exactly what the change was. What was it that that person changed? Is it something that I need to act on? If you do a little bit more configuration, you can have activity log alerts. So for certain patterns that you want to identify, you can set up alerts and make sure you're notified if something a bit dodgy is going on. So there are a bunch of reasons beyond what I've spoke about today about why you can be more secure in the cloud than you could in your own data center. I mean, maybe you could make it more or just as secure in the data center as in the cloud, but that would require a whole bunch more cost, effort, and time than it would if you were doing that in the public cloud. So to summarize, my 3 top tips are: shared responsibility. You can share the security responsibility with your cloud provider, giving you more time to focus on less of the stack, meaning you do a better job at your security in your environment. Secondly, zero effort security insights. Leveraging tools such as Azure Security Center to tell you for nothing, instantly, with doing nothing, what your security posture looks like, as well as those additional services that you can enable within just a few clicks. And finally, we spoke about out-of-the-box governance, knowing who did what when inside your environment, so you can really nail things down when you're doing security incident response. Now, if you want to learn more about Azure Security, then go over to the link. I've been Dean Bryan, and today we've been busting the myth about the cloud being less secure than your data center.